Originally, every drink and every product would have come in timber barrels. And if you wanted a drink, it would go to the pubs and you bring your own vessel for drinking. So, but the elite, the glassmaking started in Offaly about I think about 1830s or so. I'm not sure on the date, but around that time. And this a picture is from Shinroan. But we don't have any glass bottles from there. But most of the glassworks went to Dublin then, and all of these bottles were found in the Shannon. But these bottles would have been the elite only. Probably from this one here is about 1695, and that's a pancake onion, and these ones are mallets, the series, and these are cylinders, right all the way from say 1725 all the way up to 1820. But it wasn't until a fella called Rickards of Bristol, he patented this particular bottle, and we know it by the top is on it. They started to make molds and mass production, and people could buy bottles of drink. Then you have, these are representation of the Waterford Glassworks, the Dublin Bottle Company, Kings of Ringsend, and the Ringsend Bottle Company. They were the major bottle makers in Ireland. But D. Williams mainly used Ringsend, but he has bottles from Kings, and he also had bottles from the Dublin Bottle Company, which closed down around 1903. And D. Williams was only really getting going then. So they mainly made black bottles, very little clear bottles, because they only had coal furnaces. But Ringsend made some clear bottles, but they only had a few people working on it. And the bottles, without the bottles, people like D. Williams would not have been able to sell drink to the ordinary people. So these ones are a representation. This is a Hamilton bottle, invented around 1814. Now there's some people undecided who it is. Some people call them egg bottles, but Hamilton, we always call them Hamilton bottles. And the reason they're round on the bottom is because the corks weren't great, and they wanted to keep the corks wet at all times. This one here is a ginger beer, and they use a stone bottle for the ginger beer because the liquid was cloudy and nobody wanted to see the cloudy liquid. This one is a blob top, and they had the blob top. Again, the corks weren't great, so they had a big lump of glass on the top and they bet the corks in. So this is a representation of the three glassworks, where they were and how long they lived, how long they lasted. And at the end of that, Irish Glass Bottle Company started in 1932, and D. Williams and Egan's and everybody else in Ireland mainly bought bottles from the Irish Glass Bottle Company. In the 1890s, the late 1890s, there was a kind of a war on the glass. There was an agreement with the big bottle companies that they would get all the bottles into the one area and they would redistribute them back to their owners. But there was you had to pay a certain amount of money to get your bottles back, and it turned out to be too expensive. They charged too much. So everybody started to use everybody else's bottles, and as a result there was a lot of court cases, and it put a lot of the Midland companies out of business. So D. Williams sandblasted or acid edged his name onto each bottle. So that's why you have these sandblasted ones. But that was in around 1901, and you can see here he put the Red Jug brand on it. So this is a Red Jug brand jug, a representation. It's the first one. It was found in the River Shannon while diving, and I date it from 1901 because that's the first time it was advertised. And he was associated with the workhouse, and they use a lot of enamelware, so I think he probably got a jug made specially. I know of only two of those exist. So that's why he put the Red Jug brand on it, and you can see that label up there. That was his first label on the very top here, and that label he would have used that, and that's before he went limited. That's an acid edged. You can see all the damage to the jug from the acid, and to fill the marks it made with paint and wrote on it. So in 1904, 1905, he bought the Castlereagh brand name and the Tam Glen from somebody in the north. I don't have any proof that he bought it, but I know that they finished with it up there at the same time. So that was advertised from 1905, and on an occasion that one bottle was stolen, and in the court case it came out that it was Powers of Tullamore whiskey. It was very similar to Powers of Tullamore's whiskey. This one is Arden Dew. I only found one advertisement for Arden Dew, and that's 1915. The Old Vickers and the Tam Glen, two Scotch whiskies, and he was the proprietor for them. He made them, and they went on from anywhere from 1905 up to 1920. These other ones are the D. Williams 15-year-old liqueur. Those, that one there, he started in 1935, and you can see in that crate over there, we'll talk in a minute. And this one, Give Every Man His Due, is from 1937, December 1937. He had many slogans before, but this is the one that caught on, and he's used it ever since. These other jugs here are Tullamore liqueur and 10-year-old whiskey. They're made by Arklow Pottery, and they're stamped underneath from 1950 up to 1970. Just put in a small selection of the different variety. It's all over the world. I don't know, many hundred countries, but it's right across the world. And they had tried for a few years to sell their whiskey in America, but it didn't really take. Only a few cases were ever sold. But in 1955, they've done a special blend. They had an agreement to put a nice blend out, and they got it in February in time for St. Patrick's Day in America, a 7-year-old blended whiskey, and it was a huge success. They ran out of whiskey about 1965, and this one, this is the time they sold it to Powers. So you can see the change in the jar. You can see it's made in Dublin. You can see where the seal is on the front, and on this one it has moved to the side. And all these ones up along, these ones are actually 2 glass bottles painted. And then they changed the size in 1990, but they also moved the seal to the front again. And of course the rest is history. That last one is a modern one, so up along. These are 2 round bottom cylinders. This one is a 10 ounce, and that's a 6 ounce. The 10 ounce is the only bottle he has embossed that's not limited. And the 6 ounce is marked as limited. So before 1903 and after 1903. Same thing up here. Over here were 2 early bottles, 2 early Tullamore bottles before, probably before Tullamore Dew. They're D. Williams. And over here then you have D. Williams Tullamore limited on the right and unlimited on the left. Again, before 1903 and after 1903. So these stone ginger beer bottles, there's 5 in total. The first one, he used to put a paper label on it. But again, because of the problem of them being taken, he got his bottles all stamped. And this one here is pre-1903, and the Brownstown one is pre-1903 as well. And he tried to get into the Dublin market, we believe, so he used the Kildare. He had 2 shops in Brownstown, and we believe he tried to get into the Dublin market with it. These other 2 are after 1903. They're limited. This one is very rare, and the champagne-shaped bottle went on into the 30s. So he had to get his mineral waters from somewhere, and these ones here came from the Redfear brothers in Barnsley in England. As I said, Ringsend did make some bottles, but they were rare enough, and they were hard to get, and even the jug on the cod bottle is very small. So he didn't buy many of the mineral waters from Ringsend. This other one is from Nuttall & Co. Again, an English company, mostly in around St. Helens, and you can see by the green colour from it. These other two up here are from a very rare company, and there's not much known about it, of Foster and Co. And again, they were in St. Helens, and the semi-automatic machines. The selection over here, these just a selection, and these are all the Irish Bottle Company, and you can see all the different colours. They had to have a darker bottle for the beers, otherwise the beer would go sour. So they use these colours. The three at the back, one is Egan's, the other on the other side is Williams, and the one in the middle is Egan's Williams. Or Williams Egan's, I think. The company joined together in the 60s. And this is the only Hamilton in existence. It was found outside here in the site when they were digging. Oh. Yeah. And as these ones were found in the site, on the pathway and underneath. This is a representation of the Tullamore Dew liqueur from 1935. And these ones here are the soda siphons. And what they did was they kept the gas in it under pressure, as if somebody wanted a little drop in their whiskey or whatever. And these two Egans and three Williams, all different types, different times. This machine was used, and many people have come in here for the show, have said that they use these machines. That one's for putting in the crown cap, and there's another one over there that was for putting the corks on. This one here is James Lyle Sterling, and he appeared, his father died in 1876, and he wasn't of age. So Tarleton's, the container there from Tarleton's, they looked after their interests until he became of age. But he seems to have got into the mineral waters because it wasn't alcohol. He was running his father's shop even when he was a young lad. And this bottle here, the cod bottle, doesn't have Tullamore on it. So we believe it's prior to 1880. This one tells a story. James Lyle Sterling, mineral and medicinal water manufacturer, importer of wines and brandies, Italian Tullamore. He imported because he had connection with all those ships that were sending people out foreign. So he had 5 different ones. So obviously he was able to get stuff back as well. And this one here is dated 1881. It's Sterling Italian Tullamore. These two represent from 1884 1885 when he modernized his factory. He took out all the lead pipes and everything else. And this one here is a chisel top. I've dated it 1880 up to 1896, but I actually think it's older than that one. In 1896, Egan's and Williams were producing mineral water, so he moved to Dublin. So you can see Dublin Italian Tullamore. And in this one, 1888, he's just Dublin. So in between, Egan's bought out Sterling's, but it was this man that done it, William Richard Power. When Patrick Egan died in 1896, William Richard Power came in as a director. He was the manager of the Hibernian Bank, and he came in as a director on it, and he bought out Sterling's. And he went into it himself, started rectifying whiskey. So it's Powers and Co. So it's Powers and Egan's, rectifying and distributing Tullamore whiskey. And that's where they blend whiskies together. He didn't live very long, and he died in 1907. And I believe D. Williams sold it as Castlereagh whiskey, his whiskey, because it would have taken a long time to get rid of the whiskey. This one is Kelly's of Frankfurt, Kelly's and Curly, General Merchant Frankfurt. There's a story there if you want to zoom in on it. But she was in business for a long time. She took on her nephew, and the business went wallop in around 1900. D. Williams bought the business, and he ran it until 1967. And there was the three of the workers in it: Sean McCann, Joe Larkin, and Marty Maher. They took over the business. Sean McCann and his wife ran the business right up until 2018. She gave me this jar. And this one is O'Mara's a Burr. And O'Mara's, again, in 1898, the Williams bought out O'Mara's a Burr, 2 shops from O'Mara's, 1 from William Fitzpatrick, so he had 3 shops, and he ran a huge business there. This is O'Mara's one from 1827, and a D. Williams crock with it, and 2 Burr D. Williams bottles, roughly 1889 to 1901. This one is a jar from Tarleton's of Tullamore.
P&H Egan were formed in 1852 when Patrick Egan Sr. from Moat purchased the Bridge House in Tullamore, and he purchased it so that two of his sons, Patrick Jr. and Henry Egan, could take up business there. In 1866, Egan's acquired a brewery in Tullamore from the Deverell family. And here we have some of the old signs from P&H Egan. This one here, P&H Egan, is Stout of Tullamore, is a very old sign, dated back to the late 1870s, early 1880s. The next sign beside it, again dated from the late 1880s, the artist of the sign photoshopped the 3 Egan properties from Tullamore onto the one sign. At that time, as I said, Egan's owned the Bridge House, and we can see the front of the old Bridge House, and we see the offices and stables from the brewery on the right hand side of the picture, and over to the left side of the picture we see the Malton's building, which was located down in Henry Street. And very conveniently for the advertisement, the artist also included the 3 chimneys from Bernard Daly, who were the whisky making part of the Williams Group. The brewery closed in the mid-1920s, and here we have the last sign that Egan's Brewery would have released, dated to the mid-1920s. And if you look carefully on the 2 edges of the advertisement, you can see the emblem Dainta in Éireann, which was the new Free State government's way of encouraging Irish people to purchase Irish goods. We have a very rare bottle from Egan's Miller Waters, and as Noel said, Egan's bought out Sterling in the late 1800s for their Miller making business. You can see the embossed of the Egan name with their logo, the Phoenix from Tullamore. So moving into this cabinet here, we just have some calendars. An interesting little bottle is this little baby Jameson bottle, and if you look very closely, you can see that it was bottled by P&H Egan of Tullamore.